Welcome to the VectorVest special presentation, this week titled, Go with the Flow, Investing in Leading Industries. The stock market cycles continuously. VectorVest advocates that we trade with the market's trend and go with the flow. But below that price action, within the market cycling, top-performing industries and sectors shift, particularly at turning points in direction. So let me share with you some insights on how we track market rotations so we can be focused on the hottest industries and/or hottest sectors at any time. At VectorVest, we advocate that we not only trade with the market's trend, we also focus on buying great high VST stocks that are rising in price in that rising market. And, subject of tonight, a great place to find them is in rising industry groups and sectors. Of course, the opposite is also true. When the market's falling, we sell weak stocks, falling in price, in falling industries and sectors in that falling market. So let's do a little bit of a primer here in review of how we structure our database. We divide the overall market into smaller subgroups of similar stocks. So the first subdivision is at the sector level, where we have 41 sectors, each made up of several industries. There are 222 industries overall. At the individual stock level, we track over 9,400 individual stocks in the U.S. database. The underlying thesis of tonight's presentation is that at each of these levels, the stock, industry, and sector level, things are in a constant state of flux. The segmentation allows us to group together stocks that operate in similar environments, that share challenges as well as opportunities. That's another way of saying birds of a feather flock together. VectorVest analyzes industry groups and business sectors in the same way it would analyze an individual stock. In fact, we combine the analysis of the individual stocks to form that industry and sector group analysis. When we're analyzing groups and sectors, relative timing is our key indicator, because the first thing we want to focus on is the price trend and direction of the industry or sector. And I can demonstrate why that's helpful. In the program now, let's navigate to the sector viewer. So I'm going to go to the Viewers tab. On the left-hand side, we have our navigation panel, and let's select Sector Viewer. I'll close our toolbar, and here is a list of all 41 sectors that we track in the database, and they're sorted by default by RT descending. So at the top of the list, the sectors that are in the strongest uptrend. At the bottom of the list, the sectors that are in the strongest downtrend because the value is below 1. Notice that each sector has all the same data points that you would see in the stock viewer. So these are the averages of all the stocks in the sector, and that's the values that are expressed. Notice also that we have the VectorVest composite, which is the average of all the stocks in the database. And so all of these sectors that are ranked above the VectorVest composite are outperforming the broad market. The top sector is apparel. Now, technically, it's tied with the computer sector with an RT value of 1.08. The secondary sort is just an alphabetical sort by the sector name. If I right-click on apparel, I can look at the stocks that are in the sector, and I notice that there are 40 stocks in the apparel sector. If I right-click on the apparel sector, I can see that it is made up of 2 industries, both of which are trending higher by virtue of their RT analysis, but apparel shoes is outperforming apparel clothing. But all of this analysis, even at the industry level now, this analysis is simply an average of all the stocks that are in the apparel shoes industry. If I right-click on it, I can view the stocks in this industry group. And this brings us to our first decision point. Would you prefer to track industries or sectors? Well, in our industry analysis here, you can see I've moved the RT ranking, which is typically over on the right margin. I've brought it over to this screen so we can see it at the same time. Of the 222 industries that we track, the shoes and clothing industries are ranked 17th and 85th. So there are individual industries that are outperforming these because we're really looking at the top sector, which is looking at all 41 stocks that are in the combined industries. So there isn't a right or wrong answer here. It really becomes a matter of personal preference. But for those of you trading outside of the US where the industry listings might have many fewer stocks, then back out and I would suggest look at the sector performance where you have more component stocks. So let's back out of here and actually look at that industry viewer. When we look at the industry viewer, we find that we have 222 industries. We're sorted by RT descending, again bringing the strongest price trend industries to the top of the list. Here we see the toys and games industry within the leisure sector is our top performer, even though the leisure sector is ranked 16th. I can right-click on this industry and show the industries that are in that same sector. And looking at the RT values, we have a fairly good example here of how more narrowly focused industries can outperform or underperform their peers within the same sector. So how can we use this to make better trades? Well, let's go back to the industry viewer. And again, I've moved our RT ranking column so that we can see what the RT rank is for each of these industries. And by the way, the lower the number, the better the ranking. All right, so keep that in mind. But let's take a look at the stocks that are within the toys, games, leisure industry. So we're going to look at the stocks in the industry group. I'm going to change this to show all, even though there are only 5 in this group. But now that we're in a list of stocks, recognize that the default sort changed back to VST because we're looking at stocks. And so we're bringing the strongest stocks, the strongest combination of value, safety, and timing to the top of the list within the leading industry. But I'm hoping you notice something else within this list. And maybe it's what you didn't see as much as what you did see. How many sell-rated stocks do you see in this industry? Even though some have some pretty weak fundamentals. So the thesis is, because the market is favoring this industry, all the constituents within the industry are benefiting from that interest. Accident health insurance, our second industry. Let's look at the stocks in that industry group. How many sell ratings? None. Service providers in the internet sector. Much broader sector now with 19 stocks in it. How many sells? None. Computer networks. Out of 11 stocks, 1 sell. So when we think in terms of putting probabilities of a successful trade on our side, we suggest you focus on top VST stocks in these top industries by strength. Of course, it works the other way too. If I resort my industry viewer by RT ascending, I now have at the top of the list the stocks that are in, because we're below 1, we're in the strongest downtrend. The industry is in the strongest downtrend. Ranked at 222nd in the marijuana healthcare industry. Let's take a look at the stocks in this industry group. There are 136 stocks in this group. I'm going to go to look at all. My default sort is VST descending. I'm going to leave it that way for a second because how many buy-rated stocks do you see out of these 136 stocks? Well, they should percolate to the top of the list if I'm in VST descending order. The key here is, though, if I was looking for falling industries, I should be looking for weak stocks. So I'm going to resort VST ascending to find the weakest stocks in the weakest industry. An opportunity for shorting candidates. And so in our marijuana industry, we saw no sell-rated stocks. The second worst industry was construction mining machinery. How many buy ratings do we see here? None. Clean energy. Three out of 81. You get the idea. These weak industries are where I would look for shorting candidates in a falling market. So very weak fundamentals in strong downtrends. But I also noticed that some of these are penny stocks, some are pink sheets, right? So the next turn is I want to talk about how we can use the Unisearch tool to help us find great candidate stocks, but also focus in on the stocks that are more tradable for us. So let's close out of our industry viewer here. And we'll come back to our home page. Now remember, on the home page, we have these gadgets, if you're in the default layout, of the top RT industries and the top RT sectors. Notice that list is the same as we saw in the industry and sector viewers. So it can be as easy as just going to this gadget, right-clicking, and look at the stocks in the industry group. Of course, you can also just go to the Viewers tab and look at the industry viewer as we did before. But we're going to take it up a notch and turn to our Unisearch tool to help us scan for stocks in these hot industries and sectors. There are two key approaches to finding the leading industries and sectors. We're focusing on industries here, but this is also true of sectors. The first that we've been looking at so far is what we call the high flyers. These are the stocks that have the highest RT scores currently. So these are the leaders in the current market condition. We also look for movers and shakers, industries that are rising in their rank, that are moving up. And conversely, you want to beware of industries that are prior leaders that are falling out of that leadership position. So let's go back to our Unisearch tool. If I click in the parameter window, I want to look for stocks filtered by their industry group. And I want that industry group to equal sorted industries. Let's just do the top 5 industries by their RT score. And let's run that search. So right now, this search has returned all of the stocks that are in the top 5 RT industries, which we can see is a fairly extensive list of stocks sorted by VST that includes stocks that are also in downtrend and sell rated. But if I come over to the right side margin, I can see the industries and sectors they're in, and you see how they're just kind of mixed up because we're sorted by VST. But if I sort this return by industry, there's leisure, toys, and games, internet service providers, accident health insurance companies, currency other ETFs, computer networks. So I can update my sort if I like, so that I sort by industry group and use as my secondary sort the VST value. Let's make that descending. It'll go alphabetically ascending for industry name. At the top of the list then is the computer networks industry, and the stocks now are sorted VST descending within that group. So I'm going to tag these just so it'll be easier to see. We can use the power of the Unisearch tool to take this to the next level where we're not just looking at all the stocks in the industry, but we're going to look at the stocks that we actually want to trade. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to take this parameter line and add it to your favorite Unisearch. So for instance, if I come down to the Searches Prudent folder, and here's the top VST stocks search, and we'll take these parameters as written, and we'll add stocks filtered by industry group equals top 5 by RT. So now the stocks that are in those top 5 industries will eliminate anybody whose price is less than $1, that has average volumes of less than 100,000 shares. We'll eliminate stocks that are in the contra ETF industry, the minor exchanges, or in the contra ETFs watch list. So if I run that search, let's get ourselves some more real estate here. Now I have a list of top VST stocks that are in those top 5 industries. The only thing to be careful of from here, though, is just make sure you don't load up on a single industry or sector. We want to remain diversified, but you can cherry pick from this list the best stocks. And that falls right into the normal routine that we have of looking at the stock graphs and cherry picking the best performers. So the big takeaway is I can add that operator to any search, whether it's a custom search you wrote or one of your favorite canned searches within the VectorVest tool. It's easy to modify that search and make sure you're focusing on the top industries and sectors. And as those top performing sectors rotate, you'll stay abreast of that rotation just naturally as the market evolves. So now let's talk about how to find stocks that are in industries that are moving higher, our movers and shakers. I'm going to clear our search parameters. So let me begin by demonstrating what the delta performance looks like. So if I scroll back up to the top of our Unisearch tool, you'll notice in the Delta Searches Industries section, I can look at the percentage change of either the price or the RT over different time frames. So let's just do a 10-day RT delta. So what we're looking for here is the percentage change over the last 10 days, and we're going to sort to the top of the list the industries that have made the biggest change. So if I click Run Search, Media Periodicals is the industry that has made the biggest change in the delta of RT. RT has gone up 59.4% over the last 10 days. So this is the acceleration of RT and the industry over the last 10 days. Notice that while periodicals is making the biggest acceleration in RT, it's currently ranked 23rd. In fact, the biggest accelerations are outside of the top 10. It's all the way down here at a 15% delta for toys and games before we get somebody inside the top 10. The more important aspect of this is all of these industries are still accelerating in their RT value, still strengthening their price trend. If I scroll lower to where we see that delta turn negative, now I can see that these industries over the last 10 days have had a weakening of their price trend. And it looks like the currency ETF industry has been weakening over the last 10 days. So this becomes then a way for us to find stocks that are in industries that are rising. And of course, yes, a little creativity, you could look for stocks that are in the top industries that are continuing to rise by combining some of these indicators. But let's go back to our search. I'll clear the screen. And let's get our operating line here, stocks filtered by industry group. That is in the Delta Industries section now. This is looking for the top 10. I want to look for the top 5. So I'm going to go down to the custom button here. I want the highest 5 industries by 10-day RT delta. Again, if I run the search, these are the stocks that are in those top 5 industries. Again, these are all of the stocks within those industries. So I'm just going to add this operator to my favorite Unisearch. So if I scroll down, let's find our top VST search again. Open our parameters and we'll add our line, stocks filtered by industry group. Custom, top 5 over 10 days, looking at RT. So all of these stocks now in VST descending order are in those industries that were the fastest movers. Again, you don't want to load up on gold and silver miners. So you'll just take the best looking graphs from the stocks that returned in that industry or in those industries. I can look at their VST analysis and cherry pick from that list and then go look at the stock graphs. And finally, let me share with you one of my favorite searches from the bottom fishing folder that uses these same kinds of ideas. The search name is bottom fishing in rising industries. And if we look at the parameters, this is looking for lower dollar stocks below $20. And of course, you can change that value. But it's looking for the industry group that is in the highest 10 by their 1-day price delta. How much has the average price for the industry changed over the last day? Those that are making the big pop. So this leads you to the new leadership coming off of a market bottom, which can be a very great place to go bottom fishing. And of course, it's a bottom fishing search, so you see the sort is VST divided by RT, high VST scores with a relatively low RT score, that bottom fishing idea. So if you like this idea of being able to identify new leadership through industry and sector analysis, let me turn you on to a couple more resources. Most recently, Ryan Shook did a special presentation on January 10th of this year, Sectors, Industries, and Stocks, a top-down approach made easy, where he relied on the manual aspects of just looking at the viewer and then drilling in onto those top performing industries and sectors. He also did one back in June of last year, which relied more on this delta idea and also graphed the industry as in sector graphs and analyzed them as well as the stock graphs. So some nice resources for you there. To recap, the market is always cycling. VectorVest advocates that we trade with that market's trend, go with the flow, and by adding industry and sector analysis, it's another opportunity to put the odds of success in our favor. Thanks for watching.